What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb, and welcome to the Rehab Christian Center Tuesday night virtual experience. This is Life Study. We call Bible Study Life Study at the Rehab Christian Center, and I'm excited to be here with you tonight, and certainly hopeful that you've had a tremendous 2 days in the beginning of your week, and that everything is going well with you and for you. I'll tell you, tonight is going to be the continuation of another very powerful series that we again accidentally started. We didn't mean to start all of these series. It's just been happening that way. Really good lessons and conversations that we've been having over the last couple of weeks. And so tonight we're going to continue virtual life study with part 2 of Stop Making Everything So Hard. And remember, we talked last week that I'm going to give you 5 ways to live a meaningful, simple, meaningful life, right? I was going to give you 5 ways to live a simple, meaningful life. And last week we only got through way number 1, which is to stop self-sabotaging. I can't talk. Stop self-sabotaging. That's what we talked about. And so we're going to continue tonight with part 2 of Stop Making Everything So Hard. And I'm going to give you the second way you can live a simple, meaningful life. And if you saw the announcement about tonight on social media, or if you even read the text message, if you're subscribed to our text messages and get our announcements that way. And again, you can do that by texting REHAB to 88202. If you text REHAB to 88202, you can subscribe to our announcements via text. You may have saw some information about tonight's message being a message that is going to challenge you. It's going to wake you up, and it's going to wake up a very sensitive spot for some of you tonight. And so I'm going to try not to scream tonight because I don't want any of you to feel attacked in any way. But tonight we're going to have a very candid conversation about a way that really you can live a simple life, and not only live a simple life, but another way you can stop making everything so hard in your life. And this might be something that some of you have heard of. I'm going to venture to say that this is going to be something that many of you have never heard of. And many of you have never even taken the time to research if you have heard of it. But it's going to help you tonight. This is going to be so practical, and I'm excited. So I'm only teaching for 40 minutes. I'm going to get us out tonight, 5 minutes until 8 Eastern Standard Time. So many other things I've got to work on tonight. And it's just been a zoo of a day. It's been a day, a very interesting day, but we're here, and I'm grateful to be here. Let me just say this. As you're inviting people, if you haven't already, start liking our video, sharing this video, subscribe to our channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube tonight. I'm going to go through those networks in a second. I want to say to all of you, thank you so much for the kind Pastor's Appreciation greetings that you've been sending. Some of you, I got a CashAPP today for a Reese's Blast or Reese's Blizzard with extra Reese's. And I can't wait to use that. I really appreciate the individual that sent that and cashed that to me today. But I want you to know that I appreciate you all. Rehab has been on a very interesting journey, especially since COVID hit. But I'm telling you, we're positioned to do some great things and continue to be the trailblazers that we are. And I'm grateful to serve you. And I mean that sincerely. So thank you so kindly. Let's get through the outlets quickly. Facebook, good evening to you. Those of you that are tuned in via Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in, for joining us via Facebook. If you're on Facebook, I want you to hit that like button. If you really enjoy our broadcast, I want you to hold it down, turn it to a love button. And then I want you to hit that share button, hit the @ symbol, and tag 5 people and tell them to tune in tonight. This is going to be powerful. I'm going to give you the second way you can stop making your life so hard. Again, I'm going to give you 5 ways to stop making everything so hard in your life. And tonight, I'm going to give you the second way. I know we're not going to get through way 2 and be able to start a way 3. Tonight's going to be heavy. And so I want to warn all of you tonight. It's going to be heavy because I'm really going to challenge you to think about something that many of you have not thought about, have not given great thought to. When you do this, it may wake up some experiences and some thoughts. And so I'm really excited about tonight's lesson, but I'm also, again, very sensitive to what we're going to discuss. Again, if you're on Facebook, good evening. Say good evening in the chat area if you have not already. I want you to like this video, hold down the like button, turn it to a love, hit the share button, hit the @ symbol, tag 5 people, tell them to tune in. All right, do that for me really quickly. Instagram, good evening to you. Our Instagram crowd is moving slow tonight, but they'll be here. Really just been impressed with the number of people that have been tuning in via Instagram the last couple of weeks. Thank you. Those of you that are tuned in so far, if you would do me a favor, if you haven't already, fill it up with hearts. Let me see that you're tuned in. And then also, if you're on Instagram, hit that @ symbol. And I want you to tag 5 of your friends. Invite 5 of your friends tonight to tune in on this message. We're going to talk about stop making everything so hard. And I'm going to give you the second way you can, a very practical way, you can stop making life hard in your life. And again, it's going to be powerful and it's going to be personal. All right. So again, Instagram, good evening to you. Fill it up with hearts. Let me know you're there. Hit the @ symbol, tag 5 people. Tell them to tune in. YouTube, good evening to you. Those of you that are tuning in via YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in via YouTube. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to our channel, YouTube channel, you can find us on YouTube at the Rehab CC. That's at the Rehab CC. You can find us there. And once you subscribe to our channel on YouTube, hit that little subscribe button, hit that bell notification, that bell icon so that you can be notified when we go live. And then I want you to hit the share button and share this video from YouTube to your networks, to your channels, to your family, to your friends. Email it to someone if you still have people in your family that are not on social media. But I want you to share this video. And then I encourage all of you, if you have not already, go back and take a look at our archives. You can see all of the messages that we've taught during the pandemic on YouTube. And I want to encourage and challenge all of you to do that. All right. Have you all liked the video? Have you shared the video? I should have a like for every single number, for every single viewer that's tuned in. So if you are tuned in right now, make sure you like this video or love this video. If you're tuned in, like this video or love this video. I should have a like or a love for every viewer. And again, I want you to like this video, share it, tag somebody, invite them to tune in. All right. Let's get into this tonight. We're talking about part 2 of stop making everything so hard. And I want to just recap really quickly here. Remember last Tuesday, we talked about self-sabotaging and how many people in so many ways self-sabotage themselves. If you have not already, go ahead and put the topic in the comments. We record notes in the comments for people that are watching live that cannot record notes, that may be driving, that may be working. And then for people that go back and watch the replay so that they can really focus on the message and see the notes as well. So again, stop making everything so hard, part 2. Last week, we talked about self-sabotaging and we talked about getting out of our own way, right? And how so many people, their lives don't advance the way they want them to, or things are incredibly as difficult in their lives or as difficult in their lives as they are because we are in our own way, right? We get in our own ways. We impact our own advancement by the things that we do, by how we, again, hinder ourselves to move forward, right? And so we talked about self-sabotaging and redefining your worth and acting like you deserve what comes your way, all of those things. It was good. Now, way number 2 to stop making everything hard in your life or so hard in your life is going to be a powerful one. I want you to record this. Here's the second way you can stop making everything hard in your life. All right, record this. Heal your inner child wounds. Heal your inner child wounds. This is going to be major tonight. Heal your inner child wounds. Heal your inner child wounds. This is going to be powerful. If you've never heard of the term inner child wound, I want you to take a moment or take some time this week to research inner child wounds. What inner child wounds are scars that are left in us internally. They can be emotional, they can be psychological, they can be mental, they can actually be physical scars depending on what has occurred. But inner child wounds are scars that will remain with us, that are a reflection of an experience we experienced as children. Okay, I want to talk to you tonight. I'm not going to scream at you tonight because I want to be very sensitive to what we're discussing. Inner child wounds are scars that remain, that are a reflection of things you have experienced as a child, right? Again, second way we're going to heal or stop making everything so hard, we're going to heal our inner child wound. These are scars that remain, that are a reflection of things that you've gone through as a child. Now, what many people fail to realize when it comes to how they live in their present life, how they will live in the future, what many people fail to realize is the things you've experienced as a child has the ability to impact your future if you don't heal from it. I'm going to say this again. This is going to be heavy tonight. I'm not going to scream because I don't want to wake up trauma, bad memories in any of you, but I do want you to think tonight. The things you've experienced as a child, if you do not heal from it, has the ability to impact your future. And a lot of people are getting to a place where their life feels overwhelming, overbearing. They can't make decisions to move forward. They can't make decisions in the name of happiness. They can't make decisions in the name of peace because inside of them are wounds from childhood that have not been healed that are now showing themselves in your adult life. And this is important. And let me give you the easiest example that I can think of, because this is not a sexist thing, right? It's not just based on males or females. This is for any gender. Let me give you the easiest example that I can share. If a young lady, as a little girl, struggles to have a solid relationship with her father, maybe her father was not present. Maybe her father was not caring, affectionate. Maybe her father was just never there. That young lady runs a risk. And the way in which she engages with other men will be in part reflective of how her father engaged with her. If she does not heal from the scar that was left from his absence. Because as a child, you don't understand that you're being scarred if your father is not present. Most children don't have the mental awareness, the cognitive is the right word, the cognitive awareness to understand the impact of daddy not being there when they're little kids. But that doesn't stop the wound from taking place. So the wound takes place whether or not a child is cognitively aware or not of the impact of the absence of dad. As that child, that young lady, and this can be male or female, right? So let's just be clear. I'm just using this as an easy example because it's an easy example. Okay. In fact, let's just take the female thing out of it. Let's just say male or female because it can impact both. Again, if the father's not present in the child's life, male or female, that child becomes wounded, whether that child realizes it or not. As the child gets older, if the child has not, through, say, the other parent, or maybe through therapy, or maybe any other type of form of monitoring his or her behavior to see how he or she has grown without their father, if the parent hasn't noted certain things that might be reflective of dad not being there, then that wound gets deeper as the child gets older. And so then when the child gets older, it impacts how he or she engages with other people, right? I initially used the female example because it's easy to understand that in the context of relationships, right? You see young ladies or women in general who oftentimes, if dad was not present and the inner child wound was not healed, then it impacts how they engage with other men in relationships. Right? It can impact in a negative way, sometimes in a positive way, right? If the male was not present in the son's life and he grows up, it can impact how he treats his relationships with the absence of his father and being taught then how to lead those relationships as a man from a female, right? So this isn't about male female dynamics per se, as much as it is giving you an example of how, as children, how you are wounded as a child as a result of how you were reared and raised. That wound has the ability to impact you cognitively, mentally, and emotionally for the rest of your life. And we know this. I see this working in higher education, where I'm working with young people 17, 18, 19 years old, who sometimes throw whole fits when things don't go well for them or things happen to them, have breakdowns or resort to things like um, just wilding out and smashing everybody or excessive drinking or whatever. And oftentimes when these young people go to therapists, what is discovered is there are some child wounds. There are some wounds that were given when they were young people, little children, that were not addressed, that were not healed, that were not properly monitored, that were not properly corrected, that in turn, as they've gotten older, you begin to see the reflection of that hurt or those wounds as they get older, as they engage with others, as they engage in relationships, as they engage in any other types of activities with other people or even with themselves. Okay. I hope this isn't too heavy for you all. I want to go a little bit further right now. So, what I'm going to challenge all of you to do is to think about how the way in which you were raised impacts the way you see your life. I want you to record this. I want all of us, has to take a moment to think about the way in which how we were raised impacts our life. Now, this may sound a little therapy heavy tonight. It's not accidental. This is something that I learned over the last year, seeing a therapist. And it's one of the best decisions that I've made because, you all hear me talk about my therapist all the time. Just picture a blonde Judge Judy. She acts just like Judge Judy, older white lady, and she rough. And she just, she tells like it is. She doesn't cut corners. She just cuts it to you straight. But just a very incredibly wise lady, and I enjoy her. One of the things she said to me, she said, "Zeb, think about how you were raised, and think about how that impacts or has impacted your life, and impacted the decisions you've made, and impacted some of the choices you've made, and impacted some of the things that you've endured, and impacted some of the things that have allowed to happen, or put up with whatever." And it's a powerful thing. And so I'll use me as an example. I'm going to use me as an example. I'm going to give you another example. But I want to challenge all of you to think about how you were raised and how that has impacted your life. And let me just give you a easy example. First of all, let me say, I am blessed. I think I was raised by the world's greatest parents. I don't know if they're on tonight. I think I was raised by the world's greatest parents. And so I want to just say that from the onset. I think one of the things I've learned as a parent is that I don't care how good you are as a parent, every parent can be a better parent, even if you're a good parent. And not only can every parent be a better parent, every parent, if they're honest, will look back in hindsight and say, "Oh, I could have done this better. I could have done this better." My parents were outstanding. To me, I could not have had a better set. I just know in raising my two, every single day, I think, man, I could have done this different. I could have done this better. I could have done, and my kids will tell you, occasionally we sit down And I'll ask them straight up, hey guys, what can I do to be a better dad? And sometimes the responses are crazy. You can buy us more Robux, take us to a Japanese restaurant every day, that kind of foolishness. And sometimes they say things like, Daddy, you can be a little bit mean sometimes when you get on us. And that's legit. Right. When it comes to their homework, I don't play no games. I just don't. Right. So, we all as parents can do better and do things that we improve. And sometimes we do things that are well-meaning that can sometimes have an impact on our lives. I will say this, my folks have really raised us not to be quitters. And this is the best example that I can think of about inner child wounds. Our folks raised us not to be quitters. This generation is a little bit different. Y'all let your kids quit everything. If your kid tries out with basketball and don't like the coach, then you say, well, Johnny, you ain't got to play. Right. And then you waste your money, you take Johnny home, and then Johnny don't have to play. Right. That's how a lot of you raise your kids. We weren't raised that way. I've told the story. I've written about it in my book. I remember vividly a baseball team that I was on as a young man. It's a picture where I was on one knee and I had a piece of grass on my knee. It was picture day. I didn't want to be there. I think we were like 1-9. We had won like one game. It was the last game of the year. We had pictures before. And I clearly remember asking Dad that I had to go. He said, yeah, it was the last game. I don't care if you won in 100. You're going. That's just the way we were raised. You couldn't quit. Right. And that's great. Right. That's a great thing. But let me tell you how I was challenged in that regard. Talking to my therapist a few months ago, I was really thinking about some things. And that's a great mentality to have. So let me just be very clear about this, because this is going to challenge some of y'all. And I'm really trying to take my time to set the scene. So talking to my therapist, and we were going through some things, and he was talking about how I was raised and really bragging on my parents. And because again, my parents are awesome, and was going through some things. And we start talking about that. I could never quit anything. My dad, PhD, Virginia Tech, mom, super smart, had her own business, just great parents and pastors, but we couldn't quit. High standards, high expectations, you couldn't quit, no, blah, blah, blah. And so we were talking about that. And then we were talking about some other situations that I've encountered in my life. And she asked me a poignant question. She said, Zeb, why do you think you take so long sometimes to make a decision that you know is right for you? Listen to me. She says, Zeb, why do you think you take so long sometimes to make a decision that you know is right for you? You know the decision is right. You're smart. You're a man. You're very thoughtful. You're very introspective. You're a visionary. She said, so I know you think things well out. She said, so why do you think sometimes, and she knew the answer, but she asked me, she said, why do you think sometimes it takes you longer to make a decision on things that you know you should make a certain decision on? Like, why did you think you think the downtime is? So I thought about that. I don't really know. I mean, I like to think things out. I like to be sure. And she said, Zeb, it's connected to the fact, two things. She says, one, it's connected to the fact that you were raised with such high standards, right? That anything you've gotten yourself involved into, if it failed, you would have probably taken it personal. Is one. She's spot on. She said, the other thing that you need to think about is you talk a lot about not being able to quit. And for you equate quitting on something, even if it ain't working, quitting on something as failure instead of quitting on something as necessary. I want to say that again. She said, you equate quitting on something as failure instead of equating quitting on something that you need to quit on as necessary. I had to pause. I said, wait a minute. So all of a sudden, this hardball stance that I had on quitting was like, hold on. Is it quitting because we are weak, or is quitting then sometimes necessary? Let me tell you how life is cyclical. So 4 ends up on a soccer team. All right. And I'm not going to tell all my son's business, but he ends up on a soccer team. You may have seen me post a picture on my stories. Take him to soccer. He gets there and he doesn't like soccer. He doesn't like the team that he's on. He doesn't like this little nappy head bucktooth kid on there that's being a bully on the team. I said it. I don't care. I'll fight a kid that's rude. I don't care. And so 4 ends up getting through the practice. We leave the practice. He's upset. And I say to him, you going back to practice next week. Because we don't quit. Ain't going to be no quitting. You're going back to practice. You're going to be at practice. Well, it turns out the next week, then he was out with, on COVID care with Giselle. So they were out for 2 weeks. He missed, 2 games, all of this stuff. So he doesn't come back until 3 weeks later, right? And this was after the first practice. He left. He was upset. He didn't really like the team. This kid was bullying him. I had to have this conversation with him about kids being bullies on the court and going to do that. But I said, you ain't going to quit. That's what you're not going to do. We go to the second practice. This is 3 weeks later. We're at the second practice, and the same thing happens. He comes over for a break. He's upset. His kids, I said, something's wrong with you. His kid says this is still. So by this point, I'm about to lose my brain on this soccer field. Because again, my daddy was my coach. It was a lot of days I left practice crying. Okay. So I'm about to lose my mind, right? Because he's letting this kid bully him, or not bully him, but say little things to him. And instead of ignoring it or whatever. But more than that, his coach was also out on COVID watch too. So there's some kind of substitute coach there. The real coach wasn't there. The coach they had there wasn't really coaching the kids. I've coached for in basketball before. I'm going to be coaching them again this year. We didn't have no bully problems on the team when I coach, because I'll make everybody run. I don't care if you 3. I'll have you out there running suicides. We're not going to bully. We're going to be good teammates. And that's just what it is. So we didn't have them problems when me and this other guy, Coach Cash, coach these kids, and we're going to do it again this season. This coach didn't have that kind of a firm grip on the kids. So 4 comes over. He's upset. I said, son, get your stuff. And I get in the car and we're leaving. And I'm just hot. I'm livid. I grab my phone. I text the coach. I'm like, Coach, we're leaving practice. Ford, this kid was saying something to him. I don't blame the kid. If a kid ain't been raised right, a kid will say whatever. So it ain't the kid's fault at that age. It's the parents' fault. But apparently this coach was here substitute, wasn't really coaching the team, monitoring the team, teaching them behavior, doing all the stuff that a coach does at that age. I said, so I pulled him from practice. I'm going to talk to his mom. I don't know if he's, what it's going to be. I don't believe in quitting, is what I said. I sent the same note to one of the directors of the YMCA that I know from playing basketball. And I said, listen, this is what happened. The kid did this the second time he's been out. I don't blame the kid again. I don't want this to sound like a parent just, whining on the kid. But, coaches need to be a little bit more firm. His real coach wasn't there, blah, 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 blah. So I had to pull him from practice. I wanted to make you guys aware. I've notified the coach. Well, they wrote back the next day, and she was really upset. I'm sorry you pulled Zebedee. I've heard great things about him. I know he's been a part of YMCA for whatever, blah, blah, blah. Y'all just bear with me, because the story is going to make sense in healing your inner child wounds. I promise you. He's a great kid. He's always been involved in YMCA, blah, blah, blah. So she says, I know you don't believe in quitting, but ask him what he wants to do. So I'm reading the email like, what? Ask him what he want to do. The way I was raised, it won't no asking. Okay, mom, dad, I'm sorry. This isn't again a negative thing on the parents, right? It's just how we were raised, right? And we respected that. When I was raised, it won't no asking. You won't gonna quit. You could have had a bad day, or whatever, left practice early, but you were coming back the next practice. Period. So she puts in there, ask Zebedee, and here's what I would recommend. Ask, and I tried to get out my feelings, like, this lady trying to tell me how to raise my kid. You know how we do, but we get in our feelings about our kid. She said, here's what I recommend. 1, ask him what he would like to do. Dr. Talley, while I appreciate your experience and your expertise and your education, and I know you're a great parent. We believe at the YMCA that you should teach children how to make choices. and not only be able to make choices, but be able to be comfortable in those choices and not be feel pressured to have to remain in a situation longer that they may not be interested in. So I'm reading this all in my feelings because it just happened. And all I could think about was my daddy and him having that whistle in his mouth. All I could think about my daddy coaching us, me, 7th and 8th grade basketball, having that whistle in his mouth, telling me to put the ball down and run some suicide. That's all I could think about. And so I'm getting heated, like this lady telling me to give my then 7-year-old, because he hadn't turned 8 yet, to then give my then 7-year-old son a choice on whether or not he want to come out on the court, on the field. So I'm sitting there, I'm living. I got my phone. She tried to read me, Nick. I'm living. I got my phone and I'm sending this lady. I appreciate your expertise, but I'm the daddy. I got this. I look forward looking at me. I'm the daddy. I got this under control, blah, 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 blah. And then something says, yeah, backspace it. I backspaced all of it. And then my therapist popped me in my brain. And I remember what my therapist said. Zed, you struggle to make decisions that are good for you because in your mind, you equate quitting on a bad thing as something bad. When you quit in a bad situation, that's actually a good thing. And just that fast, I got convicted. So I called the mom, I called Tiffany, and Tiffany and I on the phone, and I was explaining to her what was going on. She was laughing because she already knew my take, like he was going back to practice. But she was like, Zeb, let him think about it. Let him think about it. And so I replied to the lady and I said, hey, Miss Michelle, I appreciate your response. If you would allow me to give for the week and the weekend to think about this, and I will let him make the decision. And I did put in the email, I said, now I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. If it were my choice, he would be back out there. Because I think, the trajectory he may be going on with basketball, because Forrest's pretty decent in basketball. He's a lefty. The trajectory he may be going on basketball, his height, he may have a chance to be a decent ball player. He's got to get used to court bullies. You got to get used to kids who ain't been raised right. Like we didn't experience all kinds of stuff short of folks spitting on you as a former athlete. And Carlos Martin is on this line. He can tell you. I said, so I want him to toughen up. I said, so if I'll be honest with you, my choice would be for him to be there, but I'm going to allow him to think this over. So could tell I was visibly upset. He was like, daddy, the next day we talked about it because I didn't say anything else the rest of the day. I was just hot. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't say much of anything. They went to bed, whatever. Next day went to school. Then when I picked him up from school, we dropped Giselle off at gymnastics. And this is worth telling the story, y'all. I'm going to get back to my points. I got a few points and I'm going to be done. I dropped off Giselle at gymnastics and I said, get in the front seat. Get in the front seat. And we're riding off. And I said, son, do you understand why I was upset about you quitting? Do you understand the purpose of that? He said, yes, sir. I said, what is it? He said, well, you're not supposed to quit anything, you're supposed to start. I said, right. I said, so you understand that, you get that. I said, that's the way Papa raised us. Papa was my coach. Tony Jones, one of my, best coaches. They didn't let us quit. Like, we had to stick things through. But this thing really convicted me. I said, son, I'm going to do something for you that has never happened for me. I said, I want you to think this over. I said, I emailed your coach last night. I didn't even tell him when I did it that Wednesday. This was a Thursday. I said, I emailed your coach last night, discussed it with your mom. I want you to think this over and you're going to make the choice. You're going to make the decision. You know what dad thinks about quitting, but you're going to make the decision. You're going to make the choice. And then you're going to let me know Monday. You get back from your mom's and then we will let the coach know. We'll go from there. He said, are you sure, Dad? I said, yeah. He said, Dad, I'll go back and play soccer. I said, no. Now, I need y'all to catch this. He said, Dad, no, Dad, I'll just go back and I'll play soccer. I'll play soccer. It's not a problem. I said, no, you can't do that. I want you to make the decision. This is what I said in my mind, because when he said that, I thought about my therapist again. If I would have said to him, listen to me, if I would have said, Great. You want to go back and play? Good. I'm going to let the coach know right now. He would have went back to go play soccer, not because he wanted to. Listen to me. He would have done it to please his daddy. And what that would have done is planted a seed in him that I can't make decisions that are uncomfortable without the approval of other people. Are y'all catching the revelation? Are y'all catching the revelation? This is heavier than the 40 minutes that I got time. And that's when I thought about my therapist, Judge. I said, wait a minute. Maybe, just maybe, there are some decisions I would have made sooner if I could have detached from my mind the idea that quitting was not a bad thing, or making a decision that was good for me was more important than trying to please other people. Then maybe I would have made a whole lot of other decisions a whole lot sooner than what I did. Are y'all listening to the old man tonight? Are y'all listening to the old? Does this make sense to anybody? And again, I get it, y'all. It flies in the face of what Black folks do, especially. Let's just call a spade a spade. It flies in the face of what Black folks do, especially. The way we raise our kids. You ain't gonna quit. You ain't gonna do that. You ain't. And I had a moment where that was all I knew. But when that lady sent the email, it reminded me of what the therapist said. And the reality is that while it was meant well, because it wasn't just my parents, y'all were raised the same way. Y'all gonna get off my parents. I know y'all ain't on them. I just wanted to say that. Right? All of us were raised the same way. You ain't gonna quit. You not gonna walk away from nothing. And so the implications of that was, yeah, it made you tougher in the moment. But what it did is it created a child wound. So when you got older, there were situations you should have quit a long time ago, but you didn't, because the wound was placed in you. I don't start nothing that I don't finish. So you stayed in the abusive relationship for years. Woo. My son laughing at me. He's getting a kick out of this. You stayed in the abusive relationship for years. You know why? Because you connected quitting a bad relationship to walking out of you equated quitting a bad relationship to giving up on something. Does this make sense? This is way heavier than I got time. I might have to do a part 2 on way 2 next week. And this is why I try not to scream, because if you think about it, and there's a lot of routes we can go here. If you think about it, you think about the things that have happened, because unfortunately, and I say this in complete humility tonight, I do. Unfortunately, many of you didn't have really good parents. You didn't have parents that were there for you every step of the way, that were lockstep there for you, that did all they could to teach you in the right way. Many of you were raising yourself. So think about that. If you were raising yourself, or people were absent, or they were negligent with you, leaving you with people, always running, ripping and running, leaving you with folks, leaving you with strangers. When you get older and you have mistrust issues, you can't always blame other people for your trust issues. Sometimes it's the wound that was placed in you when you kept getting dropped off at relatives' houses. Man, are y'all listening? The comments are slowing up. I know this is heavy. I'm sorry. Are y'all listening? Bryce, I didn't mean it, man. Are y'all listening to me? And so I'm suggesting to all of you that one way you can make your life not as hard as it is to heal the stuff that was planted in you as a child that you carried over the years that may have had implications on why you made some of the decisions you made. I know for me, and she and I were talking, and again, I'm using me. I don't want to use anybody else tonight. I'm using me. I just used my son for a second. I hope that example made sense. He's sitting here just staring at me. I never, if you would have asked me before I came a father, if I would have let my child quit, the answer would have been a resounding H no. My kid ain't quit nothing. I'm just being honest with you. They ain't quit nothing. But then this thing really woke me up, man. What my therapist said, hold on, Dr. Zeb. You're brilliant, man. You're a hard worker. We know it. You ain't got nothing to prove. But could it be that you put up with some stuff in your life for far too long because the seed of not quitting was planted in you, and you equated walking away from a bad situation as quitting a sport, and it ain't the same. It ain't the same. It's not. Some of you had equated being so hard on yourself when things fail. You have been so hard on yourself because you were raised to be a perfectionist. And if the bed wasn't made perfectly, if your clothes weren't on you perfectly, if you didn't do things in your house perfectly, there were circumstances for that. And that translated into your life. And so now when things don't go well in your life perfectly, you take it personal because the wound was placed there. Man, man, I don't have time to deal with this like I want to. I'm talking about me. I even had to catch myself with my kid, and they'll tell you, they're sitting, he's sitting here, she's in there doing homework. She's supposed to be doing homework, and she's sitting here staring at me and looking at that homework. But she know I have to even catch myself sometimes. I told y'all earlier when I asked her, what's some things daddy can work on? Daddy, you can be a little tough sometimes. I have to catch myself. You know why? Because I know what it's like to feel like if I don't do something great. Now, my parents never gave me this impression. Let me be clear here. My mother nor my father never said to me, listen, if you don't do this perfect, you didn't please us. They never hit me with this. But let me tell you something. The standards were so high in my house, daddy's house. The standards were so high that I'm serious. If I walked in a house with a C, we got grounded. And I, by the way, don't think that's a bad rule. That rule will exist in my house. I don't do C's. C's are for average people. Okay. But let me tell you something, though. You got to balance it out. You have to balance it out. Because if you ground them for B's or you ground them for C's, listen to me, and you don't praise them for A's, then they feel like they got to be perfect. And if they do, it will translate. So when they get older and things fail, they will beat themselves down because they were always punished for C's. They were never rewarded for A's. I know y'all saw my stories. Kids 7 and 8, 8 and 9, they got iPhones. What were they doing? iPhones. Listen, I fought it for a long time. I didn't want to get them no phone. I fought it for the longest. But when I get my kids things, when their mom gets their thing, these kids things, we get them nice things. You know why? Because if I'm going to correct them from doing wrong, I'm going to reward the heck out of them for doing right. My kids spoiled. I'm going to tell you straight up. Somebody told me last week I got bougie kids. They right. My kids like Ruth's Chris. That ain't your problem. I'm paying for it. My kids like Ruth's Chris. They'll go to Chili's. They'll go to Applebee's. They'll do McDonald's. But if I ask my kids where they really want to eat, Dad, we don't put on a suit and go to Ruth's Chris. They 8 and 9. And that's okay. You know why? Because if I'm going to ride them about being great on their homework and being great in school and they're well-mannered, you're not going to talk to my kids and my kids be like, yeah, no. My kids, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I'm talking about my kids. Tiffany and I have raised these kids. And so they're mannered kids. And if I got to ride them and correct them when they don't do well, when they do well, oh, it's a party. It's a whole lot of money in this. You know what? Like, I'm going to hit the track and we going to turn up. I believe in that. Why? Because if you don't balance them, they'll grow up and think, I got to be perfect. And when I'm not, then it's doom and gloom. And a lot of young people, I ain't got time to deal with this. I'm going to have to pick up with way 2 next week. But a lot of young people I work in higher education. We see more cases of young people between the ages of 17 and 23 who have mental and emotional challenges. And a lot of this is connected to child wounds. They get in college, things don't go well, things are not perfect. And all of a sudden, they freak out because nobody has been there to teach them. If things don't go well, you're going to still be all right. If things don't line up, if you don't make an A, if you make a B, if you make a C, you might have to be grounded, but you got A potential. You're going to be okay. And so they're raised as perfectionists. And when life doesn't happen, you took the words out of my mouth because it's right here in my notes. When life doesn't happen the way they want it to, they have no way to cope. None. They have no way to cope. And listen, y'all, I ain't just picking on 17, 23-year-olds. Some of us, 30, 40, 50, 60, still dealing with it. Some of y'all ain't made job changes because the change wasn't perfect. And you were raised to believe that you don't make changes and switch a job and leave a job. You were raised. You don't leave a job to go to another job unless it's a perfect job. And so what you do, you stick on that same raggedy job, making that same raggedy check, working with that same raggedy boss, and you do it for 30 years and retire miserable. Because you thought changing a job that you didn't like for something that was less than perfect but fulfilling was quitting. Meant you weren't perfect. And guess what, y'all? You weren't born that way. That's a wound that was placed inside of you. Y'all don't like the way I'm teaching tonight. Are y'all listening to me? Many of you have been living your life trying to please other people because you had to please your parents so much. You had to please the people who raised you so hard. And they didn't balance pleasing with rewarding. Yes, my kids have to please me. They have chores they have to do. Listen, Ruth Chris ain't cheap. Them J's they walk around ain't cheap. Them iPhones that I bought flat out ain't cheap because I ain't got no phone bill payment on them phones. Only thing I pay for is the monthly bill. I'm not about to create another bill. If I can't pay it in cash, you ain't going to get it. That stuff ain't cheap. They got chores. But understand this. They also got balance. I don't expect them to do everything perfect. You know why? Because then they will grow up and think, man, I want to switch. I'm in college. I want to switch my major and do something different, but I can't do it because my daddy going to be mad. That can't be the testimony. Because if that's the case, if they start making decisions based on, oh, I can't go to this career because daddy going to be mad, then they're going to live their lives as perfectionists trying to please me or trying to please authority instead of trying to do stuff that makes them happy and be fulfilled. And this is why a lot of young people commit suicide. Ain't got time to deal with this. This is real deep. A lot of young people commit suicide because they have been raised to try to please everybody but themselves. I ain't got time, y'all. I'm out of time, but not worried. Did this bless anybody? I told you. Hashtag told you. This bless anybody? Childhood trauma is a real deal. And I see somebody that put it in the comments. When you don't address childhood drama, it becomes adult drama. When you don't address, that's really good. When you don't address childhood trauma, it becomes adult drama. It's that simple. It's that, and again, it took a therapist for me to really and that's just a subtle example. My parents have been great. My parents are great. That's a subtle example. My heart goes out to those of you whose parents were not solid, who were not A1. Like you got beat for everything under the moon. And you never got talked to. So then you equated love as a physical response and not love as conversation, intuition, thinking, explaining, describing. And so then you ended up in relationships that were more physical than they were communicative. Is this making sense to anybody? I told y'all this heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff. So you got to address your childhood wounds. All right. Y'all, gosh, y'all, I got to get out of way two. Okay. I will pick up way two next week. I'll pick up wave 2 next week, and we'll knock out the rest of wave 2 and wave 3. All right, can I do that? Y'all, I didn't mean, I knew this was gonna happen. I be trying to tell y'all Tuesday gonna be lit, and y'all be playing. Y'all get in the room late, you don't halfway come. Tuesday nights be more lit than Sunday. Because Tuesday, I just be talking to y'all. I'm gonna pick up with wave 2 next week. We're gonna talk more about, I know it, I'm sorry. Gotta go back and watch the replay. We're gonna pick up with wave 2 of how you can stop making life so hard next Tuesday. I will finish wave 2, and then I will give you wave 3. Wave 3 is another powerful one as well. All right. Listen, y'all, I want to pray for you. I gotta go, y'all. This sucks. I gotta go. Not out of word, just out of time. I've got to go. If you got a prayer request tonight, if you got something, if you got something you want me to pray for, if you got something you want me to pray for tonight, I want you to type your prayer request in the comments tonight. Moderators, I didn't give you many notes tonight. I didn't give many of y'all many notes tonight, but I hope the story made sense. Some of you need to share this with some of your friends, because I'm telling you, a lot of the drama that some of y'all coaching your friends through can really be traced back to the stuff they went through as children that they got to be honest about. And I realize we got some kids tuning in. I've got my kids sitting here staring at me. There's some deeper ways I can really get into this, because I'm going to tell you, there's some deeper, more traumatic things that have happened to many of you as children that have completely impacted the way you engage with others as an adult. And I think all of you know one of the ways I'm referring to. I don't want to really get into it because my kids are in here. Y'all read between the lines. This is why I don't like to leave my kids everywhere. This is why I don't care if you uncle such and such, aunt such and such. My kid's not sleeping in the bed with you, near you. Y'all come on, read through between the lines. Because all of that stuff creates wounds that your kids have to deal with for the rest of their lives. Unless they get some help. Unless they get some therapy, they address it. So this is serious stuff, y'all. And it impacts the way they make decisions and the way they see life and the way they see people, the way they trust people, the way they trust themselves, the way they see themselves. It impacts so much, and we ignore it. What we do in church is we shout over it and we say, y'all don't want to get me started here because I feel a white meat alert coming now. We get in church and we shout over that and say, God will deliver. God will deliver him from this. God will deliver her from that. He can. But let's address the childhood wound. Let's address what the uncle did to him when he was little. What the babysitter did to her when she was little. Y'all don't want to have this conversation tonight. Because all of those things create childhood wounds. Any prayer requests tonight? I told y'all. I told you. Bryce, they don't want this tonight. I tell you what. I tell you what. I tell you what. This is what we're going to do. Next Tuesday, I need all of you to make sure your kids are in a room somewhere else, and we're going to deal with some of that stuff as we deal with healing your inner child. How about that? Because I don't even want my kids around. Y'all respect that? Now, I don't want my kids around that conversation. And yeah, that's probably a rehab after dark situation. We haven't done that in a while. I'm open to that. There it is. We will deal with that as a rehab after dark. I got to look at the calendar. My week is a mess. Oh gosh, which means that might have to be like a next Monday night deal. My next week is already filling up and getting insane. But I tell you what, I'll make this a rehab after dark, because this is one of the moments where we're at the building. The kids need to be in children's church. Y'all catch my drift? They need to be in children's church, because I don't know no other way but to say it. I don't do well with speaking in codes. I'm going to tell you what it is and what it ain't. All right. So I will look at that and I'll tell y'all I'm going to be targeting probably Monday. Monday's date, I think, is the 1st. I'm going to be targeting probably Monday, November the 1st at 10 p.m. And we'll pick up with healing your inner child, or rehab after dark. Moderators, y'all remind me of this. Monday, November 10 or 1 at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Put the kids in the bed. This is a serious conversation because I'm telling y'all not only from the own work that I've done on myself, I'm telling you from the years of counseling and coaching I've done with people, young people, old people, middle age, and kids. A lot of what we see from people right now is a reflection of their inner child not being healed. You got to heal the inner child in you. And all of the deficiencies that you picked up as a child, whether they were intentional because of just bad parenting or unintentional and your parents meant well, you got to address that because I'm telling you, it solves a lot of problems. When that light came on, y'all been wondering what, man, Pastor Show is just Pastor traveling and he jumping out of planes and saying what he want to say. Let me tell you why. Because Pastor figured out something. I probably spent a large majority of my life doing things and making decisions and making sure that y'all were okay. Bump y'all. Respectfully. Bump y'all. I ain't got nothing to prove. A giver, philanthropist, great father, I ain't got nothing to prove. And that's what working on your inner you, your inner child, your inner wounds, child wounds, that's what working on that does. All of a sudden, you fix the problem and then it changes how you deal with life. It changes things like people pleasing. It changes things. I'm telling y'all, listen to me. Take this from me. All right? So we're going to deal with this. We're going to plan to deal with this Monday the 1st at 10 o'clock Eastern time. I'll work on the flyer. I'll work on those things and we'll go from there. Listen, y'all, let me just pray. I ain't got time to just run through the prayer requests. I trust if you've got a prayer request, if there's something you really want me to read, just email it. Send it to me, info@rehabcc.org, subject line, prayer request. Make sure you include that so it's routed to me. I'll get it. I'll read it. Y'all, I didn't mean to run this far over. I've got some things I've got to do tonight. But man, I'm praying for y'all. I'm praying for your healing. Some of you, I know this has spoke to you tonight. The comments, the notes have been slow, but some of y'all are thinking. And let's just pray. Let's just pray. All right. Can we pray? Let's just pray. Father, in Jesus' name, I thank you tonight for your word. I thank you for speaking to us tonight in a candid and transparent way as only you can. Thank you, God, for being a God that we can understand. I prayed this prayer, God, selfishly, that twofold. One, something was said that has challenged somebody, encouraged somebody, caused somebody to take a step back and take a second look at their lives. That's one. Two, God, my prayer is that nobody leaves this call with their wounds opened. That nobody watching this replay presses the end button with their wounds open. My prayer, God, is that even as the word has gone out, if wounds have been slightly agitated, that they have not been reopened. Cover your people. Cover us as we heal, as we continue to grow, as we continue to mature, as we continue to develop, as we continue to grow to become everything you've called us to be and more. So that we, God, can be what your word challenges us to be. Perfect, whole, and entire, lacking nothing. Not just that, God, but for every prayer request that's been lifted up to you tonight. We didn't type it. Every prayer request that's been lifted to you. Every prayer request that's been emailed tonight. God, we lift it to you. You know the hearts of your people. And we pray now that you would answer the prayers of your people as only you can. Make ways, open doors, meet needs, create new opportunities. Heal minds, heal bodies, heal spirits. Heal wounds for your people. That we might all grow and develop to be whole and entire and lacking nothing in our lives. We thank you, God, for a week filled with victory and miracles. In Jesus' name, amen. Do me a favor, type in the comments right now. It is so, quickly. Wow. It is so. Quickly, type it in the comments right now. It is so. If you prayed that prayer of faith, maybe you prayed it for you. Maybe you prayed it for somebody else. If you prayed that prayer of faith, I want you to type it in the comments right now. It is so. It is so. It is so. Every time you say amen, you're simply saying it is so. And I'm believing that God has touched somebody tonight. I feel it. I literally feel it in my spirit that somebody tonight has been shaken by this lesson. And I'm grateful for it. Rehab After Dark Monday going to be off the chain. I hope I didn't commit to something that my calendar won't allow me to uphold, but I'm going to have to just make it work. Monday, 10:08 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to pick up with part 2 of this. And we'll only do it for 60 minutes. I won't have you up all night. But I want to dive into some of this stuff, put the kids to bed. And we're going to have a candid conversation about childhood wounds. All right? Y'all do me a favor. If this message, this ministry has been a blessing to you, I want to challenge you to give right now, quickly. This message, this broadcast has been a blessing to you. I want to challenge you to give. You can give one of 3 ways. You should see our moderators putting it on the screen. You can give one of 3 ways. You can give the Cash App at $REHABCCGIVE. That's Cash App, $REHABCCGIVE. You can give through our website, www.rehabcc.org. That's www.rehabcc.org. Or you can give through our website by visiting www.rehabcc.org and choose online giving. www.rehabcc.org. I'm all over the place mentally tonight. Wow. And choose online giving, or you can text REHABWORKS. Text REHABWORKS to 88202. That's REHABWORKS to 88202. And right to your cell phone, you'll see a prompt. Follow that prompt, and you can be a blessing that way. Again, 3 ways you can give. Cash App, $REHABCCGIVE. That's Cash App, $REHABCCGIVE. Our website, www.rehabcc.org, and choose online giving. Or through your cell phone by texting REHABWORKS to 88202. That's REHABWORKS to 88202. You can give either one of those 3 ways, and God will bless you how? Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, running over. He's going to send somebody to be a blessing to you because of the way you've given. Listen, y'all, I love y'all. I'm praying for you. I want you to have a phenomenal week. And I look forward to seeing you this Sunday for part 3 of If You're Scared, Get In My Pocket. It's been a powerful series, and we're going to conclude it this Sunday, Halloween Sunday. We're going to conclude it this Sunday. If you're scared, get in my pocket. That's this Sunday at 9:08 a.m. Eastern time. And then we will pick up with this way number 2 with a special Rehab After Dark Monday, November the 1st, 10:08 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be powerful. And then we'll be right back on Tuesday. So you're getting a mini revival next week on Tuesday for way number 3, and we'll continue forward. All right. Listen, y'all, I love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. Do me a favor. If you haven't already, share this video. I need everybody that's been tuned in to share this video. This is a powerful message that went out tonight that's going to challenge somebody in a tremendous way. Share this video with at least 5 people. Go back and watch the replay if you need to. Then make plans to meet me this Sunday at 9:08 a.m. Eastern time. All right. I love you guys. I'm praying for you. Peace and blessings.
For watching the Rehab Christian Center live experience. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you and you would like to be a blessing to our leader, Dr. Zeb Talley III, you can sow a seed into his ministry by Cash App at $Pastor ZT3. It is our prayer that this message of hope encourage, enlighten, and empower you to be better. Please tune in Sunday at 9:08 a.m. for our Sunday morning experience. And as always, be blessed.